Week 3 preseason play. We have Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders. I mean, I thought it was the Cleveland Browns versus the Rams.
Team versus team.
Hey, listen, we're going to start out with Dillon Gabriel in the 2-minute. This is going to be a great throw. He's going to go up top then. What do you see from Dillon Gabriel here?
His timing and anticipation really has started to show out on the third downs. The ball comes out before the receivers are looking for it, and that leads to those guys being comfortable with yards after the catch.
He has 2 great throws to Jamari Thrash here on the 2-minute drive, which is going to put them deep into the red zone.
Jamari Thrash himself has had a great preseason, should be their number 3 wide receiver. And then you can see just like the twitchiness that he can play from the pocket and the vision that he displays. Pretty strong traits.
Dillon Gabriel extremely sharp during his time. Now it's time for Shedeur Sanders. Here you're going to see early on in his play, he's trying to escape the pocket, then he fumbles the football. What does Shedeur Sanders need to do different here?
Yeah, you saw in the Carolina game, he had a similar situation where he moves and then throws the touchdown pass. This time he moves, there's pressure off his backside, and then the fumble, and then the making a bad play worse just consistently showed up. This time he takes that 24-yard loss to not give his offense a chance on third down.
Yeah, we saw a lot of this against BYU in the bowl game. That's a 24-yard sack, but the Cleveland Browns do win the game 19-17. Derek Carr questioned the Browns' decision to pull Sanders late in the fourth quarter. He tweeted, "I need to understand why we don't get to see Shedeur Sanders run this 2-minute drill. Wouldn't you want to see your young QB operate in this situation, get him more reps for the future? I didn't see the whole game, so maybe he already showed enough. Help me understand this." The questioning of Stefanski continued during his press conference availability on Sunday.
Can you address this sort of persistent narrative that you're trying to sabotage Shedeur Sanders, especially after yesterday and not putting him in for the 2-minute?
Yeah, obviously, I don't concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Dan, one thing that sticks out to me, he says, continue to focus on Shedeur's development and all of our rookies. One of those other rookies is Dillon Gabriel. What did you think about the way both of those guys were utilized in this game?
Utilized, they were both given the opportunities that kind of where they were slotted when it comes to their draft selection, and probably their practices have warranted. I think what you saw was one with some bad habits and traits showing up, and then with good habits and traits. This is Shedeur in the fumble. The receiver in motion is going to get open at the top of his break. Ball's got to be out right now. That's NFL timing. That's NFL windows. He holds on to it. It leads to a sack fumble. That's something that he's going to have to grow and develop of understanding how quickly it happens. This one, the defense wins the rep. They call it bootleg. The defender's there. It's first down at the 48-yard line. Instead of throwing it away, we run for a 3-yard loss, and it becomes that 2nd and 12 and a half, 2nd and 13. Okay, now we're 2nd and 13. The ball should get out to the tight end. But now we're running around trying to dance, and again, it's a loss of yardage of 6 yards, and we're hurting the football team. This is Dillon Gabriel, 3rd and 10. The backer up top right near the hash is going to trigger. Look how quickly he plays. Sees that guy vacate. He wants to be in between those 2 second-level defenders with the ball placement to the tight end. He knows that the tight end's running that 10-yard hook route. Ball's out now. Receiver's not looking for it, guys. This is the anticipation, the NFL timing that matters. That ball is out before that receiver's open, and it's out of his hands in 2 seconds. That's how you minimize a pass rush. This is that thrash sail route, bottom of the screen. You're going to want to throw that deep corner. It's 3rd and 6. 1, 2, 3 hitch. The ball's coming out of his hands in 2.3 seconds before Thrash is running that route, and he flattens it. And I always say this. You can have anticipation without accuracy, and you can have accuracy without anticipation. It won't make you good. Can you have the anticipation and the accuracy? Gabriel has that at the NFL world right now. Right now, Shedeur doesn't. He's just got to grow and develop to get that.
Yeah, specific to this game, because we have seen some bright moments from Shedeur Sanders during the preseason and some not so bright moments from Dillon Gabriel throughout the preseason. But this looked like the bad stuff that we saw from Shedeur at Colorado and the very good stuff that we saw from Dillon Gabriel at 3 separate college stops. Shedeur Sanders did not play with nearly enough urgency. He took more sacks than any other FBS quarterback last season. As far as NFL quarterback standards are concerned, he is an average at best athlete. He's got to understand that he does not have the same level of escapability as other quarterbacks that we are going to see on Sundays this fall. As for Dillon Gabriel, every play that he ran in college football was multiple options within one play. And he's showing that in the NFL, that he can play with a great sense of urgency and make decisions fast enough to move the sticks.
Yeah, I think the big thing is this was never Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders, right? This is each player versus themselves. How do they individually process and progress throughout training camp? And if you watch this game and you really tap into the film the way Dan just did, you understand that at least right now, Dillon Gabriel is a step ahead of Shedeur Sanders, which is probably why the depth chart read the way it did headed into this game. And Schefter, we all know that you're tapped in more than anyone. What are you hearing about this depth chart and the way it'll shake out at the start of the season?
Well, RC, we know that Joe Flacco is going to start the regular season opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. We also know that Kenny Pickett has not been operating at full strength due to a hamstring injury. Dillon Gabriel has been drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders and at times has looked more impressive in the preseason than Shedeur Sanders. So you would think going into that regular season opener that Flacco would be one, and I think there's a real possibility that Dillon Gabriel could wind up serving as the backup quarterback on opening day. We'll see how Pickett's hamstring is feeling if it allows for him to be the backup, but those would be the guys you'd be looking at as the backup.
Yeah, it's still a lot of things to get figured out for the Cleveland Browns and their quarterback situation. This is something that I'm pretty sure they're used to
it's been a
around
long
there.
road.
ESPN Fantasy Football is the #1 fantasy game with the season right around the corner. Download the ESPN Fantasy app to play. Or sign up now and get your league started at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball. New on NFL Live, Drake Maye just spoke and hit on his growing relationship with Josh McDaniels and new star wide receiver, Stephon Diggs.
I think I'm pumped up. I think anytime you get a chance to go into a game and you'll see how the game plan works, and you get to see a little bit in preseason, but now it's full go. Kind of game plan the team and watching tape, with him in there and just seeing what he's seeing and try to be on the same page. That's whether it's extra work with him or extra work out of practice from the filmer, but it's good for us to use him, as much as he's able to, handle. And I think it's excited to, get out there and, throw him a couple footballs and then building the chemistry in practice. I think we've got to kind of built it, here lately, and I think just kind of carry that into the season.
Drake Maye with some youthful exuberance. Let's dive a little deeper on some of these second-year quarterbacks and see what's on trend. We start with Drake Maye in New England, who pretty much has a brand new offensive line this season, right? 8 new offensive linemen, 4 of them likely starting in week 1. The Pats ranked second worst in pass block last year. So, Phil, the trend of this O-line, does it continue?
Yeah, I think it gets better. I think it has a chance to get closer to league average. I'm not as concerned about the tackle duo. I think there's 2 solid pieces in place there. I want to see the Patriots tap into Drake Maye's legs this year to help out his offensive line. When a defense thinks there is a threat for the quarterback to run, it just allows them or forces them to rush a little bit differently. Drake Maye, of course, an outstanding scrambler when given the chance to tap into his lower half.
Okay, let's go to Minnesota, where we talk a little bit about J.J. McCarthy. He will be the 3rd starting quarterback under Kevin O'Connell. The first 2 fared pretty well. Kirk Cousins in 2022 and Sam Darnold last year. Both started every single game that year. Both won at least 13 games, and both made it to a Pro Bowl. Dio, do you expect KO to get that same sort of play out of J.J. McCarthy?
I very much so do. One, because J.J.'s skill set is custom made to be in this offense when it comes to the play action game. The other element is this offensive line is very good, and they have, when healthy, a plethora of weapons. Athletically, he's perfect for what they want to do. The one thing that is going to be the determining factor between him lighting it up and reaching those levels is his arm is plenty strong to drive the football. How much does he grow in some of those touch throws up over those second levels will determine how good he becomes this season.
All right, let's take it to the A-Town and talk a little bit about Michael Penix. We didn't get to see Michael Penix a ton last year, but one trend stood out above the rest. Look at how much he valued pushing the football down the field, showing that strong arm. 14% of his throws, and that ranked 4th in the NFL. Cousins ranked 34th in that category. Adam, how hard will it be to keep this trend going for Michael Penix Jr. with some of the issues they have on the O-line?
Well, RC, keep in mind, Caleb McGarry is out with a knee injury. Could be 6, 7, 8 weeks, but it sounds like it's going to be, in the words of the Falcons, significant time. He plays right tackle. He protects Michael Penix's blind side, and the player that backs him up is Storm Norton. He's now out for 6 to 8 weeks, so they are missing 2 tackles that would protect Michael Penix's blind side. That could be a potential issue for the Atlanta Falcons.